I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one new member, Jane Schneider. Jane, would you stand up? Everybody welcome Jane. And our two guests are not here, correct? They didn't come, right? Diane, where's Diane? Oh, did they come? Oh, okay. All right. So our guests are Valerie Gatto and Judy Tarver. They're over at the hospitality table, where they should be, right? Okay. I'm talking about the fashion show, because I'm doing fundraising for it. Carolyn Holmes is doing the models, and I'm sure she's been in touch with all of you. She's not here today. So we put together, which I'm so excited about, a program, and we have Mashpee High School who is printing it for us, and we have a very generous person, Yvette Shakespeare, who spent tons of time putting it together. She's not here. Hopefully she's here next month. So we have that, and then everybody, there's a few sheets on every table for baskets. And if you don't know baskets, all the money goes to our scholarship fund that the baskets raise, okay? Pat's up there holding it up. But if you need more, we have them, so just fill that out. I will have an email sent out. The people who live in Mashpee or near Mashpee will be bringing them to my house, all right? I have another person who I have not confirmed with. I called her, she had not got back to me yet, that was gonna do it for Falmouth Ballymede area, all right? So you can drop them off there. And if there's any issues, my name is on there, and you can email me and give me your number, I'll call you and I'll work it out to pick it up, okay? All right. So next person is going to be Joan Ford, membership.
Hi everyone, nice to see everyone today. Yes, membership, I'm Joan Ford, and the two of us do membership. Bonnie Sternum over here is the other person. So if at any point you have a question, feel free to come over and ask us. What we want you to know is there's membership renewal that will be happening in July and August. I think some people are a little confused. I've already seen a couple of people try to send us money ahead of time. So we want to make sure that you know it is in July and August. Membership will be $50 renewal. If anyone is considering being a new member, for example, who isn't here today, it's the same price. So it's $50 for a new member or a renewal. We will do that during July and August. We will accept Venmo payments as well as checks. Bonnie and I, or one of us at least, will be here for the July and August luncheons. So if anyone wants to give a check at the luncheon, that's fine, we'll take it at that time. We will ask that you do not combine a check or even a Venmo payment that says you want to pay for lunch and for dues at the same time. Please don't do that. It is very confusing for the people that handle the money. So absolutely you want to do two separate things. What was my other point? And there will be a renewal form that you will receive. You'll get an email from Bonnie and I. It's very short. It's like your name, your email address, a couple of quick questions. We will send those out because that's going to help us keep track. I am Joan Ford. There is another Joan Ford in this club. So just so you know, your name may not be unique. So it's important to be able to match you up to at least an email address. Did I miss anything? Okay, that is it. And any questions, please, please reach out. And also, I should say, there is a coffee coming up for new members or people who have joined during the past year. If you haven't already attended one, you should have received an invite from us. It's happening next week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But we'll be seeing a few new people at a coffee at one of our members' homes. That's all I'm telling you. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, there'll be a table set up in July and August for anyone who wants to give a check. But we will tell you, most people pay through Venmo. It's pretty quick, efficient, and it's 60–70% of members actually pay that way. So, just so you know.
Just remember to put in membership when you pay it. Okay, I have, greeters. So our greeters were Diane, Terry, and Nancy. If you could please thank them. The raffle ticket sellers were Bonnie, Deb, and Maureen. Thank you. The centerpieces were made by the Centerpiece Committee, which is Catherine Schwartz, Carolyn Holmes, Pat Papelia, Deb Longchamps, and me. So we are doing the centerpieces, which will be raffled off. Okay, next person, Cindy Collins.
Okay, hi everybody. So we're talking about two things right now. We've got the golf outing coming up on Tuesday the 3rd. So I know some of you are planning on providing me with donations for the raffle. They will need to come to my house, 85 Palmer Road in Mashpee. It's over by Quashnet Country Club. I would like those during the week of May 26th. That's next week. I want everything by Friday the 30th, I believe it is. Friday the 30th, and then I can get everything organized. So I will send another email out just to remind you all, even if you're not golfing and you would like to provide us with something for our raffle, all the money we get will be going toward the scholarship fund, just like this, just like everything that we're trying to do here. Then I want to talk to you about June. So we are actively signing up for the June luncheon now. I would like to have all of your payments in as soon as possible. I also want to know who you will be sitting with. That's a much bigger deal. I will be organizing tables and customizing place cards. So I need to have that as soon as possible because that's a big job. And one other person here knows how about that, Linda. You know how that goes. So please make sure you get that to me as soon as possible. All right, thank you.
All right, Mary Liz is going to come and talk about the baby center.
Ladies, I can't thank you enough. Every year this gets better and better and better. Look at all we have gathered back there. If you were here last year, you heard me, ladies, you were here last month, you heard me give a couple little factoids. That they give out 3,000 blankets a year, that they give 500,000 diapers to babies in need. One thing I learned since last month is that 53% of all the babies born at Cape Cod Hospital get assistance of some sort from a baby center. That's more than half. More than half of the babies born on Cape Cod receive something from the baby center. I don't know what, doesn't matter. But this organization is phenomenal in what they do for the little babies and the needy people in our community. A couple people I want to thank. Mary Payon spends the winter in Florida knitting. Made about a dozen little baby hats and sweaters. We had show and tell on Friday afternoon at my house. It was so much fun. Terry Cordo is wonderful, but she has an even better friend. Her perfect friend Elaine made more than 100 little baby quilts. Her grandson, who's 6, 7, 8, somewhere along there, cuts the squares out for his grandma. And we were able to acknowledge him and get him a Cub Scout patch for community service for that. Last December, Elaine gave me about 20 little baby quilts, and I brought them down. It was a bitterly cold day, and I went to a baby center and dropped them off. There were about 6 moms standing outside. About 3 of them had babies, infants with them. It was so cold that day. The wind was ripping around, and they were getting what they needed or what they'd asked for. And there was a little cart outside filled with toiletries, and they were taking the toiletries. It was made you feel good about what we did And it really brought this all back to, it was hard to see. And we can make their lives a little bit easier. Thank you so very much. Terry, anything else I forgot?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have something they want to bring? Terry and I will get it, bring it to us, or we will pick it up. We will be going down next week Sunday with these items. Terry's picking up a bunch of stuff at the family food pantry tomorrow. Kathy Rippey's going to get something to Terry on Friday, so we're still collecting. Thank you so much. This is our 3rd year of honoring mothers in this way during the month of May of doing this. So it gets better and better and better.
And again, if anybody wants to write a check or Venmo, just put in a baby center, and it will go straight to them. So I'm excited about our Getting to Know You speaker, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and everything that she does. But her name is Stephanie Soares, and she's from Mashpee High School, and she teaches some really interesting things at the school.
All right. Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to try to get some pictures up here for you. Let me just see if I can get this going. Go. All right, so I am Stephanie Soares. I went viral yesterday on the Mashpee message. So if you saw that post, this is your girl right here. And somebody's got my mail. But yes, I am a teacher at Mashpee High School. I lived in Mashpee for 25 years. I've been a teacher here for about 15. Love Mashpee, love the kids, love the community. Never going anywhere else. This is where I am. I am the science department head now at Mashpee. So I teach 3 classes and then I oversee the department. And I just wanted to share a couple fun things going on at Mashpee, just so you guys can see what we're doing specific to my department, so the science department. So this is our new program this year. A few years ago, pre-COVID, there was a big grant that was written and received, and this room was built, and then it kind of sat there because of COVID. And meanwhile, I was in the science department, and myself, having been a CNA through college, again, into my 20s, right up until I started teaching, I was a CNA, realizing how valuable, when I took the course, I didn't even know how valuable that training would be. Talking to students, realizing that many students are going into the healthcare field, and then looking at the economy in Cape Cod, over 30% of jobs are in healthcare. And so I was like, okay, how can we meet these needs? And so we started the work. This has been our first year. This is going to be our first graduating class of our CNA course. They actually test tomorrow. We've been approved testing site as well with the state. So they come in tomorrow, and we have 16 seniors who are going to be testing, and then they're all going to be going out to different places. Some are going to nursing school, some are going directly into the field, some are going into paramedic school. And so that's really exciting. We had, when we offered this class, I knew I was going to just have 16 spots. We had 42 kids sign up for it. So we realized there was a need for this class. So let me just give you a little look at what our, let me just unplug and replug this thing. Like that. So you can see our ambulance simulator would be the perfect place to start an EMT course, which is my next little project. So here are our hospital beds. We have training sites come in just to speak to the kids, and they look at our facilities and they say, this is the best we've seen. We haven't even seen anything like this. We work very closely with Cape Cod Healthcare. We work with the fire department. We will work with private agencies that come in throughout the year to share different vocations to the kids, to recruit the kids. And so let me just see if this is going yet. I'm just going to have to look up here. And so here are some of our kids working. That's Cape Cod Healthcare provided BLS training for us free of charge. So they came in, certified all of the students, and you can see them with some of the stuff there. Next year, we plan to expand this program to 32 students, so we'll double the size of the program. And additionally, we will go ahead and start that partnership, getting the EMT portion going, hoping to have that going for, what would that be, 2026. So that's really, really exciting. Let me just peek over here. So it's us, the fire department comes in, again, has the kids tours, especially if I know, so when the kids come in, I say, what are you interested in? And I can kind of form the experience around what they are doing. In addition to the actual class, because not every kid can get into the class, we also have a HOSA club, so you might hear that around town. And the HOSA club is actually open to all students throughout the school. And it provides them opportunities to attend online lectures, go to the state conference, compete. We had students compete this year in medical terminology. They did a public awareness campaign, a health career display. They get to choose different things to compete. And so that's actually a little group at the state conference this year. They go, they have to dress up, and it's a nice little event. So there's our HOSA club. And then I just wanted to share, while I have you here, a couple of other really fun things that are going to be happening. So as we're expanding our healthcare field, our healthcare courses, and I really think Mashpee, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Mashpee is the #3 school on Cape Cod right now, right behind Monomoy and Sandwich, and it's within points. We're really close. So we really are just like the forefront. Like we're doing things that other schools look at us and like, how are you doing that? And some schools we're far ahead as far as student performance. And so we're just so proud of that. And it's because we have the support of the community to be able to do these things. One of the things we'll be starting is, again, environment, huge on Cape Cod, right? And so we will be building a wetland, a vernal pool at the high school. And so our teacher, Shona Vitelli, she's our environmental guru. And so this is her, with some kids this year, she takes them out, great educator, and then we'll have right on site this opportunity for students to be able to train and really appreciate those environmental impacts that on Cape Cod is so important for them to have access to. And then one other project that has been so fun this year, we've had our new teacher, Devin McMurray, come in, and he is a musician, he's an engineer, he's a physicist, and so he designed this program where the students are learning about all these concepts and then applying them by building their own instruments. And so he's got a guitar program, they're building their guitars, they're playing their guitars. He's got 2 sections, so I think he's got 32 kids this year in that program where they're not just learning physics from a step away, they're actually applying the concepts that they're learning. And so these are the fun little projects that are happening at Mashpee High School in our department. And we have more to come. So thank you so much. I just appreciate whenever anybody says, come show us what you're doing. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I actually went to the high school because they are, I think I said, they're printing out our program for June for us, and it is amazing. There's 105 seniors at the school. I'm not sure how many, 400 something maybe, Stephanie? About 4? Or yeah, 400. They have graphic arts. They have photography. They've printed out a book. What is you were just in it? What is it? The Mashpee? What'd you say? For the school book. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry. I should have brought it. It was filled with art that the kids had done there. I was blown away. Unbelievable. These are high school kids. They offer so much for such a small school. So thank you, Stephanie. Lunch is served.
Good afternoon, ladies. Hold this a little closer. I'd like to, I guess the question here is, you're home in chaos. Do you need to get organized but just don't know where to begin? Well, our today's guest, Nicole, she will explain how to go from feeling stuck, discouraged, overwhelmed, or afraid to a place of feeling happier and more productive. So you can move on with your life. Nicole will share how to create customized solutions for all areas of life and find systems that work for you. You will soon realize that becoming organized gives you renewed energy and excitement about your life. So I'm excited to learn this. Nicole is here to talk to us.
Okay, how's the sound there? Is everyone good? Oh, good. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for coming and choosing to be here because I'm talking about organizing. It sounds like a lot of people are interested in getting organized. Yes? Who's interested to be organized? Yes. It does provide a lot of freedom, I can tell you. So my name is Nicole Gabai. My company is called Be Organized, and I've been doing this since 1999, before anyone ever heard of this as a thing. So today I'm going to share with you some tips, tricks, and techniques to help you stay organized. I won't go as deep into it as my book because I can talk for hours. Anyway, I'll give you an overview and hopefully you'll get some techniques and tips that you can take home with you. Okay, so one quick thing before we get started, I put a index card at everyone's place. If you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes and fill it out with your name and email address, that would be awesome. And I will be sending you all a copy of my, it's really a brief guide. Well, you'll see it. I'll email it to you. It's a brief guide. It's like a synopsis of my book. So you'll have all the principles at your fingertips. So I'll email all of you that. And then if you wouldn't mind maybe putting down on that card why you decided to come to listen to some talk about organizing. And if you could please identify a challenge area in your house. Just one, or if you've got lots, you can share lots, but we'll use those later on, and I'll explain that as we go. So at the end of today's talk, I would love to collect all the cards, and I'll pick one for someone to win my book, and it'll be a signed copy, and yes, that's what we'll be doing. So I'll give you a minute to fill them out, and then we carry on. And you follow directions. But I promise, we're going to use some of the information in a little bit. So anyway, a little more about my background, and I took an elective class at FIT, and it was in TV production. So I worked for a little while as a textile designer, that's my background, and then I ended up working in TV production, because that spoke to me, and the place to be at that time was MTV. So I got a job at MTV back in 1990, when it was really a thing, and it was cool. I don't even know what it is now. So I went in there really as an artist, but I needed a job. So I had to, it's sink or swim, you figure it out. So as I was there for almost 3 years, I'm learning organizing skills. And what I later will find was those skills were the foundation to what I use as an organizing process. And I also learned that a corporate environment is a great place to learn those skills. And that'll tie in a little later, because I really think organizing is a skill that anyone can learn. I don't think you're born with it. If you're really lucky, you have parents that are organized. And they'll teach you how they do it, right? But not all of us have that. And I think working in a corporate environment is kind of the only other way, unless now you read the books and you watch the shows and you read the magazines. So I'm hopefully going to share with you some tips that I learned along the way. After I worked at MTV and I went into TV production, commercial production, and my job, I worked in a production company, my job was to keep all the paper in order. This is back when computers was like a minor part of the job, and I had to create very comprehensive books regarding every single commercial. Who was hired, what did they use, what was the equipment, who wore what, all the people that were hired, and I was organizing these books. So all the while, I'm learning all these skills, because what I find is every time I'm organizing something, we're storing it for retrieval. So that if somebody later said to me, oh, we did that Ford commercial 3 years ago, can you tell me who was hired as the cameraman? So I would be able to find that. So I'm learning all these skills as I go. And eventually, I decided to leave the corporate world, and I was actually still working at the commercial production company. They were doing Olive Garden commercials, and I was, you know, in the back of the house. I'm working with the producers, I'm working with all the paperwork. And as I walk into the advertising agency, they would say, "Oh, are you here for the audition?" And I was like, no, I work with the production people. And this started to happen every day. Like, someone would walk into the company, "Oh, are you an actress? Are you here for the commercial?" And eventually I told my boss, I'm like, "This has always been a dream of mine. I want to pursue this. I want to give it a try." So I was very fortunate. I was able to get an agent and get all my photos done. And I was older than the new models. I was 34 by then. But I still had a feeling. I was like, I can see it, you know, in the commercial world, this is where I want to be. So that was it. I quit my job, and then I needed a day job because I didn't have insurance, and, you know, I needed to pay the rent. And as you know, when someone is an actor in New York, you always say, "Oh, what restaurant do you work at?" So instead of being at the restaurants, because most of my peers were 22, I decided to put together some kind of business. I wasn't sure what, and then I organized one person's office, a friend of mine, and she was amazed. She was like, "Oh my gosh, people need this." And to me, it was like, what is it? It's so simple, because compared to all the things I had been doing at the high volume, organizing someone's office to me was very, it came second nature, really. And then I organized someone's closet. And they were like, "This is amazing, people need this." So I thought, okay, let me try. And I was living in Manhattan, and I started telling people that I'm doing professional organizing. At first, people were like, "Wait, what is that? Like, who needs it?" But now, of course, 26 years later, people really know the benefits of being organized. So that's how my business came about. And I worked in New York for many years, and I moved to Falmouth 20 years ago. So I've been here a long time. I think this is a very special place. The community, as we see with the donations, and just the ability to give back and people's desire to contribute. So I really find it's a special community. So anyway, that's kind of my background. And the other thing I want to add is that kind of a new thing as far as being organized as a professional. There is now, I'm certified as a virtual professional organizer, and that is a new certification. And I really thought, there's got to be a way to do this virtual. And sure enough, there's a course that I took and got certified. And in this course, we learned so much about our brain, how our brain works, neuroplasticity, and how we can change the synapses in our brain by learning a new habit. And one of the best ways we have found with research is when it's virtual, and I'm the person, I'm working with a client, I'm their guide, I'm giving them all the instructions, they are actually doing the work in terms of the handy, you know, all of the manual labor. And we have found that with repetition, they are learning new skills, and they are learning new habits. And the old habits, those synapses are disappearing. So it is very possible to learn new habits. You know, you're not stuck in disorder forever. And we have found that virtual organizing is like one of the most direct ways to do that for clients. And I love that because I love that it can help people, and it can also teach you how to maintain it, which is fantastic. So anyway, back to what we're doing today. First, I wanted to ask you, how many of you feel overwhelmed because you have too much stuff? Yeah, we acquire. We acquire things, and we know this is a consumer society. We love to buy stuff. And it doesn't always leave the house. So we end up with more and more stuff. And how many of you feel like if you were organized, your life would actually be more peaceful, more efficient? Yes. I mean, that has absolutely been proven with scientific background, scientific studies. It helps you with your mood regulation, helps you to go about your day. When things are organized and in order, you know that you're going to think more clearly. So now I want to ask you guys to think about something. Now, who who can tell me, do you know the difference between decluttering and being organized? Does that resonate as two separate things? Right? And I think as a society in the last 10, 12 years, we have all been educated, we've been primed, we've been encouraged to declutter, right? Keep the things that bring you joy and make sure that all the stuff you have you love. But we don't really have the techniques to keep it organized. And that's where I feel like the 6-step process that I have used over and over and over for years, and I even use it for myself, because things change in our lives, right? We have things that generate paper. Maybe you have an illness, or there's a death in the family, or there's a divorce, or more children, etc. So as things change, we do need to understand how to create systems, because that's really what it's about. Now, I've also talked to people that get frustrated because they'll say, oh, no, my kitchen's really tidy, looks nice. And I'm like, okay, great, well, can you find this or that particular spatula, or this cookbook, or that pan? And then it's like, no, I have no idea what's there, but it looks nice. So, this is where we're gonna bridge that gap, because it can look beautiful, but still be organized. And that's really what I want to share with you, and hopefully I can fit it in the short time we have together. How about the shuffling of piles? How many people have the pile, like, either at your entry table and then you bring it to the kitchen, but then you move it to your bedroom because you'll take care of it later, but then that doesn't happen, so you bring it to the living room, right? Do we all have piles? Yeah, I call that horizontal organizing, and it just never works. It just doesn't work. I work with attorneys, and they have stacks and stacks and piles. It doesn't work. It just, if you have things vertical, it makes it a lot easier. Now, how many people have a junk drawer in the kitchen? Oh my goodness. I always think, why are we keeping it if it's junk? So my desire for you is to think about that junk drawer and think, what's in this? Why am I keeping it? Like those chopsticks that you get? Or the little soy sauce packets? Or the like plastic fork, knife, and spoon in a bag? And you're like, I know it's gonna come in handy, but it doesn't need to be in that drawer. I love the kitchen drawer that has drawer inserts, and you divide them up into sections. So you have all the pens and pencils, anything for writing. Then you have your tape, your stapler, things that, and believe it or not, a stapler comes in handy in the kitchen. If you have an extra one, that's a good place for it. So that's kind of my wish for you, is that as we talk, that will inspire you to think about even one spot to start at. It can be the kitchen drawer. Now, what about under the sink? Do people have like sort of disorder under the kitchen sink, and how to put it, if it's in a bucket or a shelf, or, yeah, it's a problem for some people, maybe not everybody. So what I'd like to do now is have each of you turn to somebody next to you and talk about what you wrote down on your card, maybe go into groups of 3, and talk about your problem area. First of all, so that you know you're not alone, because so many of us have the same problem, and you may get ideas from each other on what their solution has been. So I'm going to give you about 5 to 7 minutes, and everyone just chat and share that information. Everybody feeling like they're sharing good information and good ideas? Right? You talk to other people that have similar problems, and they have found some solution. All right. So does everybody have a little time? I might go over 45 minutes. Is everyone okay with that? Yes? Okay, great. All right, awesome. So, well, one thing I would love to do, I love that this inspires all this conversation and lively sharing. Like, I'm looking at everyone, and I see that everyone has a lot to talk about, and that's a wonderful thing. There was a time when people, when they'd hire me back in 1999 or 2000, they would like sneak me in. If it was their office, like, I'm gonna tell them you're my sister. I was like, okay. or if I went to their home, like, I can't tell my husband. So, but now we realize we are all dealing with this, and we all can converse and share ideas and find other solutions. So I love that. Does anyone want to share? Can anyone share with me, like, what was on their card, if they learned something new? Who will be bold and brave? Oh, there's got to be one. Yes. Tell me your name. Hi, Susan. Yes. Has it worked so far? Nice. And is the accordion made of paper or is it plastic? Oh, it's wood. Yeah. Like when you would dry clothing, like a clothing rack? Oh, okay, that sounds great. Because you really need to see your jewelry. You need to see it. If you don't see it, you're never going to use it, right? Yeah. All right, well, if anyone else would like to share, that would be great. Yes, please. What is your name? Pat.
When my mom passed, she left me 2 photo albums. And I went through it, of course, I wasn't in it because I'm the youngest. But many of the one photo album, it was before she and my dad married, so it was her and all her friends and my grandmother and all these people that I was like, who is this? I have no idea. The other one had pictures of my brothers, and so I kind of took, 20 years later, I looked at them, found them, and I said, this is ridiculous. I don't know what to do with these 2 photo albums. So I went through them, took out some pictures of my brothers when they were little so that they could have them, and finally bit the bullet and threw it away.
That's great. I mean, that's the way to do it. Keep your favorites, put them in your own album, scan them, print a digital book for yourself. But when you really don't know the people, or the head was cut off or half, or or they're cut off in the wrong place, any kind of photo that really doesn't serve you in your current life, that's what we do. Yes.
What if you have literally Tupperwares full of photo albums and pictures and shoeboxes full of those pictures?
I know, a lot of us have that. Well, to tell you the truth, the photo organizing is a whole career and profession in and of itself. No, it's true. There are people who are professional organizers and all they do is photos. I've worked with people like that. They're amazing. I've brought them suitcases full of photos and they put it into order. They can see which event this was. They can see the birthday party group. They remove things that were blurry or not, not usable. And then they have a meeting with the client, and then they say, okay, of all these pictures, which ones do you want to keep? And then they make albums for you. So you can have it digital, you can have it in paper, but yeah, if you're interested, definitely look online for someone that does photos. Yes. Yes.
I'm Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
And one of the things that I was sharing that I find successful I did last year is I bought 2 wicker baskets, one a little smaller than the other so it can fit on top. So for the things like, say, mail or things that I know I have to look at in the next few days, I put them on the top wicker. But if you get, a magazine or something like, okay, maybe, when I have time, I'll look at it. I put it underneath the basket. So I'll just take that basket out, and instead of bringing like piles of things into the rooms, I just have to, wherever I'm sitting, I just take that basket.
That's a great idea. That's like an initial sort.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about that, and there is something else that you've done intuitively with that I'll talk about. So, yes.
So I just wanted to add one more thing. I'm Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
And when I moved down to the Cape 6 years ago, I used an app. There's a free side and a pay side called Sortly. And what I was able to do with that app is to take pictures of items that would then be put in a box. I would then know exactly what's in that box. And it generates a QR code that I would then attach to the box. And I literally packed up my whole house in those boxes. So.
And you identify each box by QR code.
Yes,
I love that.
I can have a kitchen box container.
Oh, that's
I
fantastic.
have it in my app, and
That's
I have a
great.
paid version because there was an entire house full of things.
That's amazing.
But I-
Did everyone hear that? It's called Sortly.
Shortly.
Okay.
And
That's
I
new to me.
can just go and search, I want a certain vase. I can put it in, pull up all the vases. I see pictures of all the vases in the various boxes. I can then go to the basement. Now, my husband did a terrible job of organizing the basement, so it's hard to get to these boxes. I have to pack them all. But it's a really neat tool if you have a number of things that you would like to organize with pictures that you can then search on your phone to find.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that. In my book, I do talk, I have a chapter about moving and systems to create a very smooth move. It's sort of on that same vein. It's a little different. That one sounds great because there's photos attached. The way I have been doing it is I label each box with a number, and then I have an index. And for the most part, what's in that box, the key items goes on the index. Then the boxes, this is really important, the boxes get numbered on all 4 sides. That is key. When you pile them and then you have them pushed back, you'll never know what's what. If you just label the top. A lot of people think, oh, I got the top done. No, get all the numbers in there, yes.
The one thing I think people should look at too when they're cleaning out and there's stuff from your family history, so on. Some of the stuff that if you live in a town or came from a town where there's some history in that, you need to go to the historical society.
And donate it.
And
That's a great
donate.
idea. Yeah, that's another great idea. See what we all learn from each other by sharing all the challenges that we all have. Okay, yes, oh, yes, tell me.
January 1st, they turn all my papers backwards on the rod.
Yes.
January 1st of next year, if they're still facing backwards, I haven't worn them in a year, so therefore they're going.
That's great discipline. That's very disciplined. I've heard that process. I know a lot of people do it. I think you have to be really disciplined about it because you might be like, well, maybe I'll wear it next year.
There are the exceptions like gowns.
Yes, a special piece or something, yeah. That is a great idea. Did everyone hear that? Taking the hangers on January 1st and turning them basically the wrong way, backwards, and then by January 1st, the next year, whatever stayed in that backward position means you didn't use it and you're not going to use it. So she gets rid of them, she donates it. And I'll add to that too, as long as we're in the closet for the moment. One thing I always recommend is have an empty shopping bag, could be whatever, paper shopping bag. As you try stuff on and it doesn't work for you, put it in the bag. Does everyone do that? Okay, I just, to me, it's my savior, because you put on a t-shirt and if you don't like it when you're standing by yourself in your own closet, you're not gonna wanna wear it when you're out there. So, be honest, and I always say, there's somebody in the world who needs that more than you do, if you really don't like it, yeah.
It's something really special, take it to a silent shop.
Yes, that's another project, all right. So I'm gonna talk about the 6 principles that I use for myself and for all my clients. And I'll tell you, this is interesting because people use these words in different ways. The first principle is dividing everything into sections. So say you're gonna start in one room. Some people say, oh my God, where do I begin? Just start in one room, maybe even one drawer, because you just wanna get started. And what I mean by dividing things into sections, let's say you're in your bedroom and you've got stuff everywhere, but you kind of know where they are, basically, sort of. And then it just doesn't feel orderly. It doesn't feel tidy or neat. What you do is divide everything you have in that room into sections. So section 1 could be your nightstand. What are the things you really want on your nightstand? And that's it. Not like so many books that you're never gonna read those. You put those in another bookshelf. And then maybe you have another section, a chair that you do your reading or you do crafts. So only things that pertain to the crafts and reading go to that chair. Maybe you buy a little basket, maybe you have some other piece of decor that works in that section. Then maybe you have a dresser and maybe that's all your current season clothes. and it's time to put them in a closet, or vice versa. You've put the out-of-season clothes away, now it's time to bring them into your dresser. So you keep things in their very specific sections. And that's the first thing we do. And the reason I bring that up as something that is a different usage of the word sections is because a lot of people call them categories, but they're not categories. And I'll tell you why. For example, say you have to go to Home Depot, right? You know why you're going there because you need something for your house, right? But once you get there, everything's divided into sections. This is the plywood section. This is the, hammers and nails. This is the large appliance section. This is the household cleaning section. So sections gets you more specific. Not just, these are all the things that go in my bedroom. Now we're dividing things into sections. So once you've done that, and that could be done as small as in a drawer, right? If things have no inserts, dividers, things like that, those are really, really handy. That, again, you want to divide up what's in there into the sections. The next principle that I use, and I'll explain it because it also sounds like something else, and that's the zones principle. That has to do with prioritizing your stuff. So say you have one section, let's call it the nightstand. Now we have all the things that you want next to you at the nightstand, right? You may have medication, you may have a couple of books. We won't go crazy. Maybe you have the remote control over the TV, you have some really essential things there. But then you find you have a lot of other stuff. So the zones principle helps you to prioritize where things go. Because you can't have everything on the nightstand be equally important. So this helps you prioritize the importance of what you have there. So zone 1 items are the things you always want at your fingertips. And that is where you can see it, identify it, and use it. Zone 2 items might be things, well, I don't really use it that often, but I kind of want to know where it is, but maybe it doesn't belong in your zone 1, and you bring it to a closet, or you bring it somewhere where it's still accessible, but not in your zone 1. Maybe you put it on a bookshelf that's in your room or in the hallway, for example. Zone 3 is things that are even used less often. I like to talk about this, for example, in a kitchen. We can't say that every single pot and pan we use is just as important as every other one. And we divide those into zones. What are the pans and pots that you're going to use all the time that you love and you frequently reach for them? That's zone 1. Zone 2, not so much, maybe, but still you can put them in a lower drawer or a lower cabinet. Zone 3 might be things that you take out in the summer. Maybe that's the lobster pot or the pot that you're going to cook your turkey in. But you don't need those at your fingertips. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, it is so helpful when you start to prioritize what you've got next to you so that you really live with what zone 1 items are. And then you move a little further back in the zone priority. Then if you need a zone 4, for example, I've worked in people's offices where they, home office or whatever, and they have like 20 years of taxes right there at their desk. And I'm like, wow, you don't need that at your fingertips. And that's zone 1, that is your prime real estate right there. So that's the kind of thing where you kind of grab it all and say, really, it's not even a zone 2. It's like a 3 and maybe a 4, because you don't need 20 years worth, but everyone has some different situations, so I don't make a blanket statement on that. You check with your accountant, but the point being is you don't need it right there next to you. So if it's a zone 3, put it in a box, you label it, and you bring it down to the basement if you need it for future reference. Does that make sense? How dividing things into zones can help you put away what you need to where it should be so that it's not cluttering up your space, right? All right, the last part of the first 3. So I did this obviously with the color wheel because I'm an artist. And the whole book is, I did all the illustrations and the painting and all the art in the book as well. And I just think that way. The first thing you learn in foundation art school is the color wheel. So I took that as my sample of primary colors and then secondary colors. So we're still in the primary colors. So we have talked about sections, zones, and the last thing we do is storage solutions. That makes sense to everybody? A lot of times I'll go to someone's house and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I got everything from Container Store, they had the best stuff. Then I went to Staples and I have all this great stuff. Why can't I get organized? Well, if you don't know what you really needed, then all the pretty stuff doesn't work, you know? So you really need to go through what you have by section, divide it up into zones, and then decide, okay, I need this to be a clear drawer or a clear box. I need this to be, you know, baskets for future use, for long-term use are not as good because they can disintegrate, but you can at least go into a store like Container Store, which is amazing, but you can get lost in there, and then come up with, do I need wheels on this cabinet? Do I need it to be cardboard? Does it need to be maybe frosted plastic, you know how it's not totally see-through. So you kind of identify what you're storing first, then you go shopping. I know people want to switch the order around a little. All right, so the next part, I'm gonna just go over quickly because it's very deep and it's detailed and I talk about it in my book. The next principle is information management. Now that can mean so many things now because so much is digital and people's calendars. Most people I speak to use a hybrid. They either use certain things for on their phone for scheduling and certain things in paper. Is there anyone else that does that, the hybrid method? Yeah. So, and then otherwise, if you're all digital, that's great too. It all lends itself to either, to any of those methods. But basically, information management, obviously, it's about how you store the information you have, storing it for retrieval, having an index if you're doing files, and you can create the same systems in your phone, if that's what works for you. And you can title different things in notes, you can have subject matter, and then you can add pictures. So it's a little more complex if it's in the phone, but the idea is how you create those systems. So that's, I go through that in the book, and when I work with clients one-on-one, that's what we talk about. So the next thing I want to share with you is what I call portability. And it's really, how do you take the information that comes at you all day long? You are out and about, you take a little note because, oh, I want to make sure I know where that talk at the library and which library, you take a note. And then you see something else, you grab someone's business card. Or you are talking with a friend and you're having lunch and you get all these recommendations for, I don't know, a great painter for your house and you need a painter and an electrician. What do you do with all that? I call it little papers. Do people collect little papers? Yes, I call it little paper syndrome because we all have them. Anytime I go work with clients, the first thing we look at is what's in your purse, all the little papers. What's on your desk, lots of little papers. And the issue is, of course, you're stuck with all these little papers, but no method to retrieve the information. So with all the experience that I had starting from when I worked at MTV, and then I sort of customized this method and made it more user-friendly for everything else that we do in our lives. I'm going to briefly explain it to you. Can you hear me if I don't use the mic? No? Okay. Oh, you know what? I'll stand over here. That's what this is for. That works. Okay. So I'm going to explain to you what this little book is. I've actually used this same book, not this particular, but the brand and the style of this book. I have used it for 25 years. I try to come up with other solutions, and this is still the best one. And I'll explain why. First of all, I call it the halfway book. Why? Because all those little pieces of paper, those note cards, whatever you have laying around, it's halfway between just a random note that you'll never look at again, or it may become something. Maybe you do hire that painter. Now you open a file. Now you have all the estimates. Now you have the color paint, the paint color names and all that stuff. So, but in the beginning, you don't always know. So you need somewhere to hold all that information. So the reason why I love this book so much. First, I like the size, but it can be adapted to any size. And people say to me, oh yeah, I have a spiral book. I do that. But the problem is, it doesn't have sections. And if you are just doing this running tally, then you don't know where you wrote it. Well, I know it's in red pen. I wrote it on the top left corner of the side page. And then you're flipping through stuff. And chronology doesn't help you retrieve those items. It's really by section. So this particular book comes with the sections already cut out. And you go through what you have, and that's what I do with my one-on-one clients, is, okay, what kind of information is coming at you all day? And we look at it carefully, because it might change. Maybe you're doing travel plans, maybe it's your children, your grandchild, your spouse, your pet, medical information. Those are kind of the big general ones that I see a lot. You know, maybe it's fun ideas, things you want to do that you never heard of. Maybe I'll go to the escape room. Do you know what that is? They're so fun. So you collect ideas, right? Maybe you'll never go, but you want to make a note of it. So that's what I love about this book. So what I encourage is you don't always take this with you, right? Because you're at lunch or you're at dinner or whatever. You come home and you transcribe or tape in all those little papers that you had on your desk. They could be little papers, they could be bigger papers, they can be someone's email address she gave me, she just wrote it down on something. So this is the solution to retrieve your little papers. And what I love about it is, and these are all, it's an amalgam of all the different systems I learned. Does anyone remember the Franklin Planner system? Yeah, that was big like when we were in the corporate world. And so I did take a few of their recommendations, but one I loved is that they used to say, keep 5 years of your calendar, right? And this book, I dated. When did I start it? When did I finish it? And I keep these in my closet, probably 5 years, maybe sometimes a few more years than that. But I can usually remember, I know that I moved in 2017 and my friend gave me a name of another mover, and this other friend gave me this other mover. I want to try those other people. Where do I find it? I go to that book. Like, you can remember some of your big items, issues, situations of that year, most likely. So that depends on the volume of information coming at you all day. This sufficed for me. Usually it lasts me 6 months, but I worked with like a cinematographer, and he was like, oh, I'd fill that up in a week. So we did a 3-ring binder and then divided up into sections. So again, he can write random notes, but there's a place to collect, which has a retrieval system. Does that make sense? I love this book. So it's my halfway book. I happen to love stickers, and as you can tell, I love color, so I have fun with it. But that's the beauty of being organized. You customize it to really what speaks to you. You know, if it's a fun cup that's has mermaid scales on it, go for it if that really makes you happy. Because the more beautiful your system is, the more apt you are to use it. And if it's just a random plastic cup, whatever. But let's say you traveled somewhere and it's a beautiful mug, but you're not going to use it in the kitchen, make it your pen mug. So, you know, little things like that that you can use in different ways, but it reminds you of something very happy and you're more apt to use it. Okay, so.
Question, where do you get the book?
Oh, yes. Question. You can get these on Amazon.
What's the brand?
And someday I should invent my own, because this one comes from France. Like, why isn't there an American version yet? But I'm working on that. The brand is called Clairefontaine. It's Claire Fontaine. Clairefontaine. And they make all kinds of notebooks. This particular one, I'll give you the dimensions, 17 by 22 centimeters, and it has 120 pages. So that's deceiving. It's 60 individual sheets of paper. So they're saying back and front. But the key with this one is that it already has the cut-out tabs, because they do sell a lot of varieties of their books, and some of them are just a spiral notebook, which you could use. There are little tabs you can tape them on, but then they're going to stick out, and it's going to be flappy. So you kind of customize it. You know, it's personal preference. How do you want to collect your little papers? But the key is the sections for retrieval.
What sections have you chosen?
So sometimes my sections change, because maybe now I'm planning a travel trip and then I'm done with that, and so now I don't have travel. But in mine, I have my business, I have Falmouth Newcomers, because I know these ladies from Newcomers. I have a financial section, I have health and medical, I have my assistant that helps me, my pet, Luna. I get a lot of notes on her, you know, vitamins she should be using, or where to take her for a groomer, things like that. For work on my website, and another person I work with. And then I have one, that's for me, I call it beauty and fun. But it's kind of broad. So like, I went to Greece and I saw this store that had the most gorgeous ceramics. I loved it, I don't want to forget about it. Maybe it'll inspire me to do something, or maybe I might call them and say, hey, can you send me a bowl? So I want to keep that. So that's a broad category, beauty and fun. So it could be makeup, plans you want to do with your grandkids, anything like that. Yeah, like people recommended a TV show. Oh, have you seen this or that series? No, I haven't. Well, where am I going to put that? Yes, you can put it in your phone, so if you're really committed to digital. But I almost 99% guarantee we all collect something of little notes.
What category would you put the recommended shows in?
I put it in fun. Yeah.
Would you use a board to attach these?
I use tape. Tape, yeah, just so they're not flappy or, they don't get caught on anything. And my last one is house, my home. Somebody recommends a painter or a plumber, but I don't need them right now. Where am I going to put that? So it's halfway, because you may never use that person, or it becomes permanent and now it's a contact in your phone. I'm pointing to my phone. Then it leaves the halfway book location and it becomes something permanent. So that's the key, is that this is halfway. All right, does that make sense? And the last thing I want to talk about is called Back to One. And I'll tell you how that originated. When I worked in TV production, I worked at Nickelodeon for several years on the stage with kids, with actors. It wasn't cartoons. And so I got a really good view. I was a stage manager and I coordinated the actors. I got to see firsthand what happens on a set, how it functions. I didn't go to college for that. So many people I worked with went to journalism school, they went to TV production school, so I learned on the job. And basically, every set, like let's say they're gonna have a scene where there's 2 actors in a living room, there's tables, there's chairs, there's whatever, sofa things, there's a coffee table, and they have a wine glass, and whatever. All that stuff has been decided upon. The art department, the lighting department, they said, oh no, you can't use that glass. It's gonna kick off too much shine or bright or whatever. And then you have the cameraman, there's like, oh, that angle isn't gonna work, but if you use a mug, it's gonna work. Okay, fine. And then, and then the sound department, how is that gonna work? So all these different people weigh in on how that scene is gonna look. So once it's done, it's called a hot set. So they'll put yellow tape, like, caution tape, but they say hot set. That means don't touch anything because it's really been thought through. So what happens is, you bring in the actors, everybody gets in position, the lighting, the cameras, everyone is ready. They bring in the actors, they start shooting, they move around, they have a conversation, they pick out a book, they bring it over here, the pillow falls down, whatever. Cut, the director says cut. We don't know why. He could have heard an airplane outside. It could have been a shadow showed up, or the boom mic got in the way, or something. So they'll cut, okay, and everyone kind of stands around, and the production people discuss. Here's what happened, this is what we're gonna fix, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll say, okay, everybody, back to one. And what that means is, whatever that scene looked like at the beginning, that's where we're going back to. And there are people whose job it is to take a picture of it. So everyone has to follow that photo to see, put back the pillow where it goes, put back the glass, put back the table. Everything is back to one. And I love that concept for organizing our homes, because I recommend every night before you go to bed, spend 15 minutes and get everything back to one. That also implies that you establish a back to one. So you do take that time to organize the room in sections, then you have your zones. Now let's say you have your room really how you love it. It's perfect for you. But you're gonna live, right? You're gonna, whatever, mess up your bed, you're gonna bring in other books, and grandkids will come and play, and you'll have all kinds of stuff. Maybe you didn't have time to put away your clothes that day, whatever. Bring it back to one. So that to me is a lifesaver, because otherwise you're gonna spend a few hours on Saturday getting it all back to one. So those are the main concepts that I wanted to share with you. And hopefully, you can take a little nugget of information and that will help you. I go much more into it, of course, in the book. But I wanted to just bring that to your attention so you have kind of a working knowledge of it. Now, does anyone want to share how they might use any of these principles in their life? I know it's a lot of new information, but if anyone's thinking, oh, I could use this for doing this other thing, or halfway book, or, does anyone have any ideas of how they would use it? Yes? Yes. Did you hear her? She would keep it on the kitchen counter. Yes.
I can see myself now, writing it on a little thing,
You-
and taking it on the bulletin board,
Exactly. And there's no order in how to retrieve it. That's great. That's a perfect example. Okay, so if anyone else has any questions, I would love to hear them. Otherwise, or at the same time, please pass up your index cards to me and we'll pick a winner of the book.